Today we're going to be talking about owned media. You hear a lot about social media, paid ads, and influencer marketing, and those are all great. But what about the channels that you actually control? I'm talking about your website, email list, blog, and even a podcast if you've got one. These are the things that build a direct connection to your audience and grow with your business over time. Here's the truth. Relying solely on social media or platforms you don't own is risky. Algorithms change, accounts get suspended, platforms rise and fall, and suddenly your audience vanishes. Owned media is the safety net, the long-term asset, and the one thing that gives you control over how your business communicates with your audience. In this episode of Behind the Brand, we're going to break down what owned media is, why it matters, and why investing in it now can pay off for years to come. Welcome to Behind the Brand, the podcast for small business owners, solopreneurs, and aspiring entrepreneurs who are ready to start strong, stand out, and stay bold. I'm Taylor.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Isabella, and we're part of the powerhouse team of marketers at Moxie Creative.
We're taking you behind the scenes to explore what it takes to build and grow a memorable brand.
Ready to get behind the brand? Let's dive in. Hello, Moxieverse. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Brand. Taylor here. Today, we have a very special episode with two of my favorite Moxie ladies.
Poor Brittany.
And Mackie. Kelly and Isabella. And it is very special because we get to talk about something that I love, kind of one of my core focuses here at Moxie, and that is owned media. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
sorry, Bella.
We are rivals. Just kidding. We work together so beautifully.
Yeah. So we're talking about websites, emails, maybe text message marketing, podcasts.
Okay, so for those in the audience that don't understand what owned media is, it's things that a business owns, right?
Correct. Things
Their
that you
own
can
content.
control. Yes, your own content. While the content that you're putting out on your social channel is yours because you created it, you're putting it on a platform that you are renting.
Right. It's
You
not
do not
yours.
own your Facebook page. You do not own your Instagram page. You don't own your TikTok, your LinkedIn, your YouTube, etc. You're using someone else's platform. So, yeah, that's
So
what
examples of owned media are, which you rattled off before, but let's say it again.
Let's say it again. Your website, your email list. Perhaps you have a SMS list, so text message marketing, your blog, a podcast. Am I missing anything that you can think of?
I don't think so.
I think you're set. An example of why that is important versus social media, which we'll get into more depth,
Yes.
of course. But why social media isn't owned is, you already said it, but the issue with that is, say you have built up an audience and you have all these posts and everything is there and that's how you're contacting everyone and there's no other way to contact them. And all of a sudden Instagram disappears, or TikTok, as it almost did.
Mm-hmm.
Your followers are gone. The way you reach them is gone. All that is gone. So we're going to talk about how those can connect together so that in case it ever happens, you're set.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in this day and age in the digital world, anything really can happen. So, the key is having things that you can control with your messaging, with your design, to be able to reach your audience and connect with them in the way that you want to at any given time.
Right. And I see owned media as the foundation. We always say that we should do that first, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get your owned media in line and then do the other media.
Yep.
Right?
Nope. I feel the same exact way. So, Kelly, from your point of view, what are some of the key benefits to winning at owned media?
I think I just said it, didn't I? It really is.
Say it again.
Well, it's really the foundation of, it's a given, right?
Mhm.
You have to tell people who you are and what you're doing and all that good stuff through your website and everything. And you should always have that in line before you're doing any paid tactics. And I think that's what we usually do when we talk to clients. Okay, they want to do a campaign, but their website and maybe even their brand and all of that is not fleshed out yet. We really need to get that in order because that's going to make the campaign more successful.
Yes.
So, while you can just throw money at a paid tactic, it's not going to perform as well unless you have your own media in place.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Because at the end of the day, if you are running this beautiful campaign and then people go to your website or to another touch point from your campaign and the messaging doesn't align, the strategy is not there, the overall look and feel is not the same, it's going to be a complete mess. So,
Right.
yeah, there's lots of benefits to having own media. And then, Isabella, from your point of view, because you are our social media queen here, how do you see social and own media playing together?
My biggest one that I love is using social media to gain your audience and push them through a funnel that goes to a email campaign or your email newsletter. That way, then you can provide like an alternate incentive to, okay, you follow us on social media, you keep up with us here, but now you should sign up for our newsletter for XYZ, or, you know, when it goes onto a website, and then maybe that's where then you have them sign up for your newsletter. Like, I love social media as like one of the touch points that is used to collect them as then you're part of your owned media.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes
Yeah.
sense. And my favorite piece of owned media is
Your own writing. No.
yes, I love my writing, but is email marketing. And there's, I think, a lot of people that maybe feel like, oh my gosh, email marketing. I've had this conversation with many clients, and I'll bring it up like, do you have an email list? Are you sending out emails? And they're like, no. They immediately go to, well, I don't do it because I get 800 emails and
Nobody
can't
reads
stand it
them.
and blah, 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 blah. And that's just not true, right? Like, there's no way that you don't read some emails that come through to your inbox, right? If it's from a brand that you really want to engage with. You know, don't get me wrong. We all have the like, sign up for this list to get 10% off. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know, getting the kickback from Google, like, would you like to unsubscribe from this? I'm like, yes, because I don't even remember when I did it, you know? But there are brands and, you know, businesses that I look at those emails every time they hit my inbox.
Well, you
because I
don't
want to
need
say,
everybody to open them. And actually,
Right.
the click-through and open rates for email
Yeah,
is a small percentage
super small.
because, you know, you can have hundreds of thousands of emails go out. You don't need all of those people to buy. You
Right.
just need some of them to buy.
Right.
And it's still a success.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, and
yeah.
even just like getting the ping on your phone of this brand sent you an email, like that's all of a sudden another touch point in your head of, okay, this brand is in
Right,
front of me,
right,
in front of my eyes, and that benefits you later.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I look at, you know, email lists as being, you know, like a little piece of gold, because even if someone, you know, maybe just signs up for the 10% discount, they had to manually do that. Like, you didn't just all of a sudden get in front of them. They had to say, yes, like, I want to receive
Yes,
what
and
they're
you-
saying.
And none of us probably nurture our email lists well enough, and
No.
Phil did. So there's a case study a few years back, and it probably is true every year, but I remember this one Black Friday season where they said social got people's attention and said there's a sale,
Mm-hmm.
but then the emails converted them,
100%.
right?
Yes.
And because that's the one time a year where I'm all over looking for those coupons,
Right.
finding out who has what. But that is the key. And like you said, those are your past customers too. That's on the email list. There's potential of past or whoever's on your list that is gold
Yeah.
because they've already told you they're interested.
Yeah.
Sometimes clients don't need necessarily new leads. They just need to nurture the list they have. I remember that was the case with Warrior Boats. They
Mhm.
had a very, very loyal audience. They just weren't getting the information that they craved. And once we got them a website and a shopping cart, you know, and monthly emails, then, you know, they're already loyal and are ready to buy in.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I feel like Warrior is kind of a good example because it's not necessarily B2B. It is obviously B2C because they're selling a product, but it's like a high.
It's a big
product,
yeah.
right? So it's not, you know, we have some e-commerce clients and they're selling, you know, a product for $20. And so like an email campaign where, you know, we send that out, it's the barrier to purchase is a lot lower, but you know, for a B2B business, it's still so good to get in front of your people.
Yeah, the email's not just to sell.
Right.
It's actually just to build loyalty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
you hope a sale.
Yeah, and you know, share the things that are happening in your business and
You're in
create
a
that
little
connection.
it's a little exclusive club.
Yeah.
And that's what I had always had been taught is that your email list should be given a special consideration, not
Mhm.
the same promo that everyone else
Else is
can
getting.
get.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes I have a hard time convincing our clients they just want to blast that sale to everybody.
Yeah,
But you should give them, it's like a fan club
Yeah.
or a little loyal.
yeah,
Loyalty
you get the
club.
perks.
Yeah.
You get the perks
Exactly.
in
You're
your
supposed to.
inbox. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So one of the things that I think happens with owned media a lot, because it's not paid, right? You're not, you know, dumping money into a pot to get in leads. It takes time, and we've talked about this
And
on
expertise.
yes, but we've talked about it on other episodes, and you know, people don't always want to wait. They want that quick gain, that quick lead, quick conversion, and that's just not always going to be the case with owned media. It builds value over time. So Kelly, from your point of view, when you're presenting things to a client that are going to be more of an owned piece, how do you handle that conversation when people are like, well, I don't have time to wait for that, or I need this now?
Well, usually then I, even if they don't ask for it, I include us helping them get that up to speed. As that's why a lot of the campaigns that we do, it'll include a component of let's spruce up your homepage.
Yeah.
We had a client that didn't want to pay us to do that, but then like, well, then you need to do it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest barrier isn't necessarily that they want it fast. I think they set it and forget it. They don't know maybe how to make it better, and they haven't hired any help. And, that's where we come in. If we we look at a client's website, and we're like, we have no idea what you do, and no one else is going to either.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're the first ones to tell them, you need to spruce this up.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
I just did that 3 years ago. It's like, well,
Yeah.
And so we usually include some component of that. We don't just ignore it, right?
Yeah. And then to the, set it and forget it component, sometimes, a lot of times, it's not enough maybe just to have a website, right? Like you have to be updating that. And one of the really great ways to do that every month is through a blog and putting blog posts and new content out there. And that is a great way to educate your consumers, have another touch point with them that can then be turned into social media content, something that's put into your email. So the way that owned media can all work together to help your overall strategy, if you're doing it, is really awesome.
And what's nice about owned media is you're able to tell the fuller story instead of just a little headline on a billboard or a little quip on a digital ad. It's like you can read more about the company and, all the other juicy goodness that we want to tell. That's where we get to tell it.
Yeah.
Right. The other things are just little teasers to get them to the owned media.
Yeah.
Flashy stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So all great. We know, yes, businesses should invest in their owned media, and maybe they feel like, well, I have been and it's not working, or I think I've been doing it. Haven't I been doing it? How would someone step back and maybe audit that or take a look at, the things that they've been doing and see if they're working?
Well, I think if their sales aren't where they want it to be, or their marketing, they're not feeling like things are working, that's always a good time to look at it. But I tell customers consistently that every year they should have a budget for their website. And I say website just because it's their biggest owned media, right? I mean, whether you don't need to do a new website every year, but you budget some money to spruce it up.
Yeah.
At some point, you can just do a few pages, or it can be a design refresh, or it can be adding more content, whatever. You should be working on it. It should be part of your budget and part of your marketing plan every year. The other thing is always good from time to time to have somebody from the outside to take a look at it. Like we do that, but sometimes you can get feedback from your customers. Like, I couldn't find your contact form, or where's your phone number, or I didn't know you did that. That's an issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A moment that I remember in one of our calls, Taylor, with a client was we were doing a website refresh a new website for them and a brand. But at the time, they hadn't decided if they were going to do the website yet. And they said, well, I just don't know if I want to spend the money on the website because it just seems like we don't really use it a lot. It seems like that's just not a place where people are getting information. And it seems like people are just directly calling us. And you go, well, is it that they want to directly call you, or is it that they just they don't feel like they can use your website? Like you said something along the lines of that, and that kind of clicked in their brain, like, oh, maybe
that was a good response.
That is, yeah, it was an amazing response. And I was like, oh my gosh, Taylor, you're so right. And lo and behold, their website was done, and they've been so impressed with it continuously. And it's been months now. They can tell that their clients are understanding what they do better. They're getting less of those questions when they get on the phone. They're getting more qualified people. They're getting more sales in general, more leads. So
yeah, because not every phone call is a good call, right?
Exactly.
Like, okay, not everybody, we don't have, as a business owner, it's not like you have all this time to sit and explain to Sherry, down the street, this is what we do over the phone. It's nice to, send them to the website.
So I think a good way to, I think a good way to audit it is your audience or the people that are calling you, are they understanding when they call you what you do exactly? Like, what are the kind of questions they have? Is it maybe not clear on your website? Is that something you need to add? Do you feel like your website's just not valuable to you? Like, are you sitting there thinking, okay, well, I just feel like my website's not super necessary. People aren't really
I don't get any leads.
Right, exactly.
Well, you should be.
Maybe there's an issue, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we hear that a lot. It's just a placeholder. It's just a glorified brochure.
Yeah.
So then
my favorite is, I just need to be like a business card.
Yeah.
Right.
What we want to do is, how can it work for you? If it's not the main way you get sales. It's for sure people checking your integrity, but could it be a place where your employees log in for a portal for their things? Could customers log in and see the status of their order? Websites have different uses, right?
Exactly.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up was when we do owned media, they all work together, right? Like sometimes you'll do a social post or you'll do an email and I'm like, oh, that's good. We should put that on our website.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't always come from the website.
Right.
We're kind of got this circle going
Yeah.
like, oh, we just found out that a customer's confused about this. We should put that on the site.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
we're like, hey, we added this case study on our website. We should put that on social.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those things, you're
Yeah.
kind of creating content and it's kind of just making sure it's
Right.
all
Yeah.
like,
And that's, part of working smarter, not harder, right? Like you should be able to create one piece of content and turn it into
Cycle it.
all of these different pieces. And blog post can be, one social post, or it can
Could be
be
three.
5 social
Yeah.
posts,
Yeah.
So when you're doing those types of tactics, you have to look at it from a full point of view. It's not
Right.
just, okay, I'm putting one thing out once, because that can be like, oh my God, that takes a lot of time.
yeah.
Writing blogs is not for the faint of heart. It takes some time, but if you look at it like, well, I can use this in multiple different ways and touch my clients or my customers, inappropriate, reach my clients and my customers through that one piece of thing, it makes the investment more worthwhile, right?
And sometimes we do blogs and we're like, you know what? This should be a page on our website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This content. And so sometimes, like I said, it'll spark ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
We also, for us, we take our podcasts
Yeah.
and that then becomes a blog. It becomes a video on YouTube.
Yeah.
It becomes a clip on social. So yeah, that's all.
We used to call that use all the buffalo,
Use
which
all
I'm not sure if that's offensive.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like when
Yeah. Use all the pieces of it.
the Plains Indians would use all of the buffalo. They
Yeah.
would use.
I understand what you're saying.
I use the
I'm
proper
just
term of
like-
yelling. Yeah, it's use all the buffalo. I'm sure that's offensive to somebody, probably buffalo, but
We're learning from the Indians.
yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. So one of the things that I do want to talk about, because we, kind of just brought it up there again, like, oh, create content, then you can use it on social. But then at the top of this, we were also like, well, you don't own your social platforms. Social's like kind of that tricky gray area for me, where it's like, you are creating the content. So like you own that content, but you're
Mhm.
putting it on a platform.
But it's
that
being
you don't-
distributed that way.
Yeah, that you
Right.
don't own.
But like Isabella said, the best way is to
It's a fair trade. Like,
Yeah.
we're giving you a free platform that you can post on and they'll manage distributing it, even though, that's gotten a little like not great
Yeah.
as time has gone on and they want you to then pay to advertise and stuff. But without that platform, right, you wouldn't be able to reach all those people. Like they're giving this platform that all these people want to go and scroll on. And then they're like, okay, businesses, now that we have people going on this for their own pleasure, now you can come in and you can sell your stuff and get in between the spaces. And then you just have to be strategic with how you make sure you continue to nurture that audience.
Mhm.
I just think the big message here is that you can't just do one thing.
Yeah.
You can't just do social.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You
yeah,
still
for
have
sure.
to do, again, if you think of the own media as your foundation,
Yeah.
is a good way to.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people that businesses, whatever, that will, because social is quote unquote free, right? You don't have to pay a subscription for it. You can just create an account and start going. They'll leverage that really heavy. And I think we saw this, obviously, of course, like more in the influencer space for sure. But, we saw this when TikTok is it here? It's going away. Oh, nope.
Yeah,
Now it's back.
people were
All of this. And
panicking.
people were freaking out because
Yeah.
they have monetized their social platforms so much. And now, I remember seeing so many things like, bye, see you never. And
Yeah.
it just made me cringe because I'm like, why have you not taken these people off of this platform that is not always serving you? I think I see that a lot on like LinkedIn where, people are so frustrated with the algorithm and getting all this stuff out there and they're, kind of abandoning LinkedIn and they're like, no, come over here, come check out my Substack
Yeah,
or
Substack.
all of these other ways to stay in contact with me and support me in my business. They're doing it smart, but there are a lot of people that like just aren't doing that.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
scary.
Well, especially with TikTok, the big thing was like TikTok Shop. Yes, the influencers, but people are like, if you really like an
Is TikTok
influencer,
Shop
you're gonna
still a
go.
thing?
It is, unfortunately. So like the influencers, it's like if you really like an influencer, you're probably gonna go search them up again on another platform. They can resurface
Yeah.
to YouTube and Instagram. A lot of the people that like were creating these businesses selling products, also, and they went to TikTok Shop and all of their money was coming from TikTok Shop. And of course, I feel like TikTok is the way it is, where it's like, okay, you're going to buy this through this platform, and the messages are going to be sent out through this platform, and the emails are going to be sent out through TikTok's own thing. Then TikTok is making sure that your business is solely like on TikTok, and that you are not like gaining it as owned media. Like you can if you go the extra mile, right? But if you already were someone who was basing all of your sales to come through TikTok Shop, you probably aren't going the extra mile to like get them onto your website. Maybe a lot of them didn't even have a website.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing with Amazon, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Amazon and these different marketplaces is the place to sell your products.
Yeah.
But
We just met with a client the other week that was like, my product got taken off of Amazon. Or
no,
whatever.
but it's so the goal always with, and it costs more to, Amazon's going to demand you to have the lowest price and all these things. And then sometimes Amazon will copy your idea
Yeah.
and do it themselves, those Amazon products. But the goal with Amazon is always to get people to convert them to your own website, which is tough.
Yeah.
It was real tough
Yeah.
when Amazon makes the delivery and everything
Things
so
so-
easy.
yeah.
So it's that same type of thing, just
Well,
with e-commerce.
That's where you see that when I like something I've learned now is like, okay, if I see something I really want on Amazon, but maybe it's more expensive, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the actual website, because I guarantee you that they have a deal, so that since you buy it from them, then all of a sudden they get your email, and then
Amazon,
can buy it
they
through there.
can't. They have to sell the lowest price has to be on Amazon. They cannot.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they can sell full price on the website, but they can give you like a like overall like, okay,
Value add
said,
or something.
here's
Yeah.
put in your email and we'll give you 20% off.
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
that
make it
sort of
around,
thing.
like,
Yeah.
promo.
But otherwise, yeah. The
But a
price
lot
is
of times
lower.
they're not making money on Amazon, just like because they're paying to be on that
Yeah.
platform. And so what we had always tried to do is or in Etsy too, try to get people to go to their own website. But
Yeah.
it's tough.
Especially
It's all
'cause-
tough
Yeah.
because nobody has the algorithms, the SEO, the
Yeah,
advertising that they
platform,
do.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's
Right.
another subject, e-commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing.
Well, I think we covered a lot of really great points here when it comes to own media. Main message here is it's a continuing conversation. It's something to really invest in. When you're creating little bits of content, it can be sprinkled throughout all of these other places. So
I think another thing to remember is grab those email addresses,
Yes.
even if you're not going to do email marketing now. Remember, we have a lot of clients who go,
Yeah.
why do I need that?
yeah,
I'm not doing a newsletter now, but you should start.
you should start. Yeah.
I mean,
from the very beginning.
we can do an email newsletter later.
Yes. But
Okay.
your own media is the core. Like Kelly said, it's the foundation of everything that you're doing. It's where you can tell your story on your terms, build real connections, and cultivate relationships with your clients. So it's definitely something to be investing in or thinking about investing in as we are approaching the new year very quickly. I know. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Kelly and Isabella, for joining me. We will see you next week on the next episode of Behind the Brand.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Behind the Brand. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. If you didn't, share it with an enemy. To keep up with us, follow along on our socials. Links are in the show notes below.